masama doon sa Reddit? Sinabi ko, mag-uwi ako. Pwede naman mag-joke-joke lang ako sa page ko, di ba? Fun. My page is for fun, di ba? Pangpasaya lang ng tao yun. Ready na ba? All.
Meanwhile, Tevez' lawyer, attorney Ferdinand Topacio, reiterated that threat to his client's safety is the reason why Tevez cannot come back to the country. He also said it is possible that the lawmaker is still in Timor-Leste while waiting for the outcome of his appeal on Tevez' denied political asylum.
Confusion is nothing new when it comes to Secretary Remulla. Sabagat ang dami niya namang mga statements na mukhang confused talaga siya. Maybe he's being fed the information by some of his subalterns na mali.
Meanwhile, authorities have arrested an alleged gunman supposedly used or hired by the Tevezes. The Criminal Investigation and Detection Group identified the accused as Police Staff Sergeant Noel Santa Ana Alabata Jr., also known as Alfonso Edena Tan. He was arrested for attempted murder and attempted homicide charges. The PNP-CIDG said that Tan was allegedly used by the Tevezes as a hitman for their business rival. In other news, operations at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport continued amid the maintenance activity at the country's air traffic management system. Dave Abuel reports.
Elisa was both nervous and happy today as she is set to fly to Canada to work as a caregiver. However, her flight coincided with the planned airspace shutdown earlier this morning. Fortunately, the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines decided not to proceed with the shutdown.
Nagpanik ako, tapos tumawag ako sa agency, ano mangyayari. Sabi naman nila, basta mag-check-in ka.
Philip, who works as a seaman, was also worried that his flight to Singapore might get cancelled. But nonetheless, he agrees with the need to improve the country's air traffic management system.
Kung ganyan mangyari, mas maganda i-upgrade nila kasi yan ang mga madalas problema dito pagdating sa mga ganyan. Natidelay ang flight, minsan natatagalan kami makaantay. Mas maganda na rin ayusin ng ganyan kasi back to advance na tayo para wala nang aberya.
From 2 o'clock until 4 o'clock in the early morning, the defective uninterruptible power supply or UPS at the Air Traffic Management Center was replaced. The faulty UPS was the reason for hundreds of delayed flights on January 1, leaving thousands of passengers stranded at NAIA. To prevent any flight disruptions during the maintenance activity, CAAP temporarily installed a backup UPS as a temporary power source. The UPS serves as a battery or power supply during power interruptions to ensure the functionality of the communications navigation and surveillance system.
Po natin sa ating UPS went well as planned. It was managed well by our technicians and our engineers. At ito yung ating mga air traffic controllers. So, concerted effort, wala pong naging epekto sa ating operations.
The CAAP will continue to monitor their system in case any issues arise after the upgrade. For News 5, Dave Abuel, We Are One News.
We're gonna pause for a quick break, but One News Now will be back with more stories after that. Stay with us. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. President Bongbong Marcos is considering to put back control of the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines to the government. This comes after his meeting with Senator Raffy Tulfo, who expressed concern that the Chinese ownership in the NGCP could pose a national security threat. In the meeting, Marcos backed Tulfo in conducting a comprehensive study or hold hearings to determine the real situation at the power grid. If necessary, the president says that the government will take back control of the entity. The State Grid Corporation of China owns 40% of the NGCP, while the remaining 60% is Filipino-owned. And the government is set to roll out a rebranding of the country's tourism campaign. This is after President Marcos approved a 5-year plan to promote and transform the Philippines into a, quote, tourism powerhouse. Tourism Secretary Cristina Frasco says that under the National Tourism Development Plan, the agency will not only promote the Philippines, but also set up new infrastructure, strengthen internet connection in tourist destinations, and improve governance.
Mabibigyan po ng pagkakataon yung ating mga kababayan na magkaroon ng tourism employment sa pamamagitan ng pag-develop natin ng mga tourism circuits and to continue to push for tourism across our regions and provinces.
Frasco also said that the administration will unveil the country's enhanced tourism slogan in the coming weeks, which will showcase the, quote, heart and soul of Filipinos.
Has not yet come out with an enhanced tourism slogan, but we will make sure to engage in consultation with our tourism stakeholders.
And thought leader says Kathy Yang caught up with Manuel V. Pangilinan, Chairman Emeritus of the Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas. This is what he had to say on the successful redemption campaign of Gilas Pilipinas in the SEA Games. Let's watch this.
It's a tremendous feeling of relief, and of course, a very happy, for Gilas and for the country. And it was a huge job that Gilas did, a magnificent one, especially after the defeat from Cambodia in their first game. So kudos to them and to the coaching staff, and congratulate the Chot. And send my warm regards to Coach Tim and Coach Jong for steering the team to this championship.
Where were you when you won the game?
I was actually in Meralco. I managed to catch the first half of the game, but I had an important meeting after that. But we were monitoring the scores during the meeting. Yeah.
And when they won?
But everybody cheered. Everybody cheered. Well, we were all Filipinos in that boardroom, so everybody congratulated Gilas, and we look forward to their arrival, maybe today, because I know that the TNT team, which won the PBA championship, I think the Governors Cup recently, are off to Hong Kong tomorrow, Friday.
Your emotions had been on a roller coaster ride, and that showed up in your tweet. Back on May 11th, when you were quick to tweet your disappointment over the Gilas loss to Cambodia, which you mentioned earlier, describing it a, quote, disgraceful defeat. And where you also asked the Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas, SBP, what happened? What happened in the intervening days before Gilas clinched the gold?
Well, in my text to Chot, my congratulatory text to Chot last night, I did include my statement to him that I was happy to eat the harsh words I tweeted earlier, right, about Gilas's defeat to Cambodia in the earlier game. And very happy to be proven wrong, so he texted back saying it's all part of the job. So that was a gracious reply to me. Disappointment, especially after that. And well, it's we knew that Indonesia would have 2 or 3 imports as they did the last SEA Games in Hanoi. And also they did, I think, in the FIBA, one of the FIBA qualifying games series, which was held in Jakarta. Indonesia had 2 or 3 imports, I believe, at least one good naturalized import, if I'm not mistaken. And if I recall correctly, we got defeated there too. So I thought SBP should have thought through that process because we knew that in the SEA Games they play under different rules. So, and yeah.
Should there be a change in the regulations when it comes to the Southeast Asian Games?
Well, there's an article today in the Philippine Star which I think tried to talk about that, no? Because again, as I understand it, each host country in the SEA Games has the ability to determine the sports, no? That they want to include in the agenda, total sports agenda. And I think in the case of Cambodia, they had included certain what they call native sports, and, sports that are really native to Cambodia. So there's got to be some, I guess, some space for that. I can imagine, but there should be certain basic component of every SEA Games, no? So you cannot tinker with it too much, right? So that each of the countries can prepare if they know there's it's like if the curriculum, so to speak, of the universities as a core agenda to it, core items to it. And then countries can prepare, athletes can prepare for that, for those core programs. No?
Well, as of press time, we have yet to receive your congratulatory tweet. Will you be tweeting one?
I thought I should shut up for the meantime.
Catch the full interview with MVP on Thought Leaders with Kathy Yang on Tuesday, May 23 at 9:30 p.m. Manila time. Only here on One News. Meantime, One News Now will be back at 3 p.m. I'm Sean Yao. We are One News.